This week in game news, Enter the Gungeon sold more than 200,000 copies, Stardew Valley sold over 900,000, and Shovel Knight, get this, has seen over 1.2 million global sales, that is lifetime. We got a teaser for Titanfall 2, the next Splatfest in Splatoon will be SpongeBob vs. Patrick themed, Leslie Benzies is suing Rockstar for over $100 million, the Oculus Rift is seeing more shipping delays, Codemasters has acquired Evolution Studios, Banner Saga novel The Gift of Harderborg was published, and PAX East is next week. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. First off, regarding that lawsuit, former head of Rockstar North, Leslie Benzies, alleges that the company owes him $150 million after numerous deceptions from a variety of people and companies, including Sam Houser, president of Rockstar Games, Take-Two Interactive, and Rockstar Games itself. It all started September of 2014 when Benzies took a sabbatical from Rockstar North. In January 2016, Rockstar said that he'd retired from the company. Benzies, however, claims to have never actually resigned, and he says that when he ended his sabbatical during April of 2015 and tried to return to his office, he discovered that his keycard had been deactivated, and that when he managed to get inside after security let him in, an office manager ordered him to leave. Benzies claims that he's owed $150 million in royalty payments that Rockstar has tried wiggling their way out of. Rockstar has responded with a countersuit seeking compensatory damages against Benzies, claiming that the allegations are absurd and that the royalty plan that Benzies had agreed to pretty much says that if he were to quit without good reason, as they claim he did, then he wouldn't be eligible for any post-termination royalties. In case you didn't know, Leslie Benzies played an important role at Rockstar North. He was lead developer on Grand Theft Auto 3 through 5 and served as producer on a number of Rockstar's biggest hits, including Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire. In happier business news, Nintendo has found success with their bizarre mobile social game Miitomo, which was released a few weeks ago for iOS and Android. SurveyMonkey delivered some big numbers this week. The game apparently has over 4 million active users, and last week alone saw over 2.6 million downloads. I've played a lot of Miitomo, and I'm not really sure what sort of experience it's meant to be. Miitomo employs the titular Miis as player avatars. It has some gamey elements such as Miitomo Drop, a minigame in which you exchange in-game currency or game tickets for a shot at exclusive, specially themed clothing items for your in-game avatar. If I had to assign a genre to Miitomo, I'd call it a social fashion RPG, since your characters level up by changing his or her clothes. You gain social levels when people interact with you. This generally happens when they like and comment on answers that you've given to the questions that Miitomo asks you. Miitomo is a pretty interesting way to find out stuff about the folks you follow on Twitter. Right now, however, I think that it could stand to be a bit more fully featured. For instance, you can visit the rooms of people you've befriended and ask them questions, but there's no real customization available for the room. It'd be nice if we didn't all have the same room with a few color variants. It would also be nice if there were more to do than just change our clothes or purchase new ones, or listen to answers. That said, there is a lot of potential for Miitomo. If there were more mini-games, I could definitely see it taking off. Right now, however, the game's in need of more for players to do. Otherwise, it's going to run into long-term retention issues. The game's monetization, which I must note is quite fair, has made Nintendo $280,000 every week. The majority of the cash is coming from the iOS players, who've historically tended to spend more money on games on their platform. There was a lot of controversy this week over Blizzard's shutdown of the Nostalrius servers. In case you didn't know, Blizzard's mega-hit MMORPG World of Warcraft launched in 2004 and has always been changing. It gets frequent content updates in the form of expansion packs, which add to the story and introduce new mechanics. Some of the players of World of Warcraft miss the good old days, and to accommodate them, the Nostalrius servers were established. Here's the thing. These servers weren't created by Activision Blizzard. The Nostalrius servers were considered pirate servers. Blizzard hasn't officially released the software necessary to run your own World of Warcraft server, and they likely never will, because it would cost them revenue from people choosing to play the pirate servers instead of paying up on the official ones. Blizzard demanded that the Nostalrius servers be shut down, and shut down they were. Between the two, there were nearly 1 million accounts. It's disappointing that when a game like an MMORPG changes, you may wind up losing things that you loved, but there's no real way to defend the Nostalrius servers from a legal standpoint. Blizzard owns the game, and while it sucks that you might have paid money for a product that's changed in ways you don't like, it's literally right there in the terms of use that you don't actually own the game and you've got no real rights to it. As you may guess, the players are very, very angry. Blizzard servers were DDoS'd this week. For those who don't know, DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service. It's an attack on servers that overloads them with traffic, shutting them down. This DDoS shut down all of Blizzard's games for a while. Was this retaliation from angry Nostalrius players? Perhaps. The hacker group known as Lizard Squad claimed responsibility for the attack. Lizard Squad has DDoS'd other networks before, and they've been pretty quiet as of late since several other members have been arrested. How do you feel about this? Should Blizzard have taken down the Nostalrius servers? Does some part of the game belong to the players who imparted meaning? Let us know on Twitter at Blackman and Robin. We'll be happy to share your thoughts on next week's episode. We got some news about the upcoming Mirror's Edge Catalyst this week, and it's something that has fans disappointed. Certain moves are going to be locked from the start of the game. The quick turns, rolls, and other moves will have to be earned as you're playing the game. In case you didn't know, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is a parkour game, a sort of prequel to the original Mirror's Edge. Set in a beautiful dystopic city, you play as a runner named Faith. You spend your days delivering politically controversial messages, running just out of reach of the oppressive regime. It's the most hotly anticipated parkour game of 2016. In the original game, you had all your moves and abilities at the outset. Admittedly, however, I often forget that I could do such moves as the quick turn, which didn't get a lot of use in the game. Having to earn the quick turn, I think, will probably leave me appreciating it a bit more. Hopefully, there won't be too much of a grind. Additionally, it'll likely play into the more open design of the new game. Mirror's Edge Catalyst goes into closed beta on April 22, 2016. The game is set to be released on May 24, 2016 for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Windows.
In most of our social content, we have a thing called echoes, which is a sort of echo of a previous experience that someone has had on that race or that time trial that they've gone on. The visualization of it actually relates to the beat. It's a augmented reality piece of a lens that Faith is wearing at that time.
So the beat is the system runners use to communicate in-game, and we've taken that concept and created our companion experience, our app, and our website.
Another social element that we have is the Beat LE, or the Beat Location Emitter. And it's the ability for me as a player to place a geotag, in a sense, in a certain place in the city, and then for you to discover it or find it.
And it's all up to you where you want to create this and how you want it to be played. You can make it easy, or you can make it incredibly difficult, if that's what you want.
I can't wait to see what players will do with it.
I'm super proud of the game.
It's not only going to live up to their expectations, but immensely exceeded. It certainly has exceeded mine.
In virtual reality news, a piece of software called Revive has appeared on GitHub. According to its README, it works by re-implementing functions from the Oculus runtime and translating them to OpenVR calls. Basically, it translates for a game that's meant to run on the Oculus Rift to allow it to run on the HTC Vive. Something a little disappointing that's happened with the Oculus VR is that they've gone for something of a walled garden strategy. Basically, in order to keep games exclusive to their platform, they've designed them so they'll only start in a Rift. So while you can play non-Rift games in your Oculus Rift, you cannot play Rift exclusives in, your HTC Vive. At least, you couldn't, until now. Oculus VR issued a statement on the matter to the website ExtremeTech, saying that this is a hack and we don't condone it. They went on to explain that the hack may be broken by software updates. Essentially, they're not going to try and stop the project, but they're not going to offer support to it either. In-game releases this week, Stories: The Path of Destinies hit Windows and the PlayStation 4. In the game, you play as a tricksy fox named Reynardo. There are time-traveling hijinks involved in this game, which employs choose-your-own-adventure-style storytelling. You're presented with a book, and it's up to you to make choices as to where the story goes next. In between chapters of the game is the actual gameplay. It's 2.5D platforming with some hack-and-slash combat. Thus far, the game's gotten some great critical reception. People really love its style and story, and though its combat could be a bit stronger and it suffers from some little technical issues, particularly some frame dropping on the PlayStation 4, on the whole, it's been pretty well received. I've played some of it and must say I'm enjoying it so far. The first time that I beat the game, I hadn't really beaten it. Rather, I'd learned something new, something that I could use to my advantage next time regarding the world and its characters. The game's storybook style combined with its narrator makes it feel like a hybrid of Bastion and the new King's Quest with a bit of Ubisoft's Child of Light thrown in for good measure. It does have a couple minor technical issues on the PC version, like the PS4 I got the frame rate drops, and some folks get crashes in some spots, but overall, it's in pretty good shape. It's well worth picking up if you're looking for adventure. Also, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for Spearhead Games on the PAX East show floor next week. Hopefully I get a chance to chat with him. Keep an eye out for that. Released on the Nintendo 3DS this week was the game Bravely Second Endlayer. Sequel to Bravely Default Flying Fairy, this fantasy RPG plays big on nostalgia. The trademark of the Bravely Default series is that it's designed and written like an old-school JRPG. Thus far, I've heard great things about Endlayer regarding its visuals. They work well with the oft-forgotten 3D mode that the Nintendo 3DS is named for. Its turn-based gameplay, which calls for a fair amount of strategy, as well as its nice variety of playable classes, have been praised by both critics and players. I've also heard that the story can be a little bit hit and miss sometimes, which is disappointing, and that not all the voice acting seemed to work. That said, if you're looking for a dose of nostalgia with a nice coat of paint and plenty of fun, check out Bravely Second Endlayer. That's not the only nostalgia-driven RPG released this week. Final Fantasy IX was re-released on Windows this week. Originally released over a decade and a half ago for the PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy IX is the story of Zidane Tribal, a bandit planning on kidnapping Princess Garnet till Alexandros XVII. The thing is, the world's in terrible danger, and Zidane, Princess Garnet, and a cast of other colorful characters must band together to stop the evil that threatens the realm. It sounds a bit cliché, and it is, but what Final Fantasy IX has going for it is that it's the least angsty of the more modern Final Fantasy games. Seriously, it's meant to be a fun, high-fantasy adventure with zero room for brooding. Also, just like every Final Fantasy before, the music is amazing. If you don't feel like playing the game on PC, it's also available on iOS and Android.
Greetings, Cadet. I'm Captain Copernicus Quark, Galactic Ranger Extraordinaire, not to mention Solana Magazine's most handsome man alive. And that puny little furball is Ratchet, who's a lot more trouble than he looks. Trust me on this.
Speaking of nostalgia, a new Ratchet & Clank game was released on the PlayStation 4 this week. Simply titled Ratchet & Clank, the game is a reboot of the series which started in 2002 with a game of the same name. It's meant to accompany the upcoming Ratchet & Clank film adaptation, which is coming out later this month. The game is an action platformer in which you play as the adorable furry Ratchet, a mechanic, and his little robot buddy Clank, who's a defective but lovable bucket of bolts. As Ratchet, you do most of the fighting, flying, and yes, you get to enjoy hoverboard races. In the parts of the game in which you play as Clank, you're mostly solving puzzles and sneaking around tight spaces. Thus far, the game's gotten good critical reception. I've really only heard good things about Ratchet & Clank. Is this a first for a game based on a movie, based on a game actually being good? Perhaps. Hopefully, the source movie itself turns out well.
Ratchet & Clank, in stores April 12th. Play the game. See the movie. Rated PG.
And now for a brief word from our sponsor.
Here's a dirty little secret. When you wash your face at the end of the day, you might only be cleaning the surface of your skin. To clear those congested pores, you need a deep clean. And today, you can get it with Proactive's incredible deep cleansing brush. And here's something even more incredible. You get the brush free when you order a Proactive system today.
I love the deep cleansing brush because it really gets in those pores.
I was using a brush that was over $200, and I like this so much better.
This isn't just any brush. This is the only one from the doctors at Proactive, so it's specially designed for acne-prone skin. Call the number on your screen now to get America's #1 acne brand for just $19.95. Be among the first 500 callers, and you'll also get the deep cleansing brush free, plus more secrets for flawless skin. That's a $93 value for just $19.95.
You only have 2 hands, but you have a whole lot of bristles.
This is such an incredible offer that supplies are limited. Call the number on your screen now.
The Warzone Firefight mode for Halo 5 went into beta on the Xbox One this week. This new mode is cooperative and calls for a team of 8 players to fight together for 5 rounds against a variety of challenges. Warzone has been a staple mode in Halo games for quite some while, and it's nice to see it coming to the 5th game. Keep in mind, this beta is running until April 19th, so if you've been looking to get into it, you better hurry up. If you're into mechs, good news. This week, we got a brief teaser trailer for the upcoming Titanfall 2. Right now, we don't know much about the game, other than the fact that it'll have a single-player campaign, and will be returning to the Xbox One and PC, as well as debuting on the PS4. The new trailer revealed that there will be mechs with swords. I suppose we'll have to wait and see how they're implemented in the game. More details are on track to be announced during EA's event at E3 on June 12, 2016. We got a new trailer for The Collider 2 this week. In case you've not played the original game, what you should know about it is that it's a sort of racing game in which you're zipping through tunnels past obstacles at high speed. It's a simple premise that makes for a relatively challenging game. I thought that the original game was alright, it didn't blow me away, and I thought that the visuals were a bit rough around the edges, but I did think that it was rather well executed. The Collider 2 seems to have gotten a bit of a budget bump in the graphics department. The developers say that first-person drone racing was a source of inspiration for the second game. It's neat to see that it's coming to the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. If you don't own a VR headset, don't worry. It runs on Windows just fine without one. If you own a PlayStation 4 and you enjoy driving irresponsibly, Absolute Drift Zen Edition has been announced for your platform. Currently in development by Flipfly, the studio responsible for Race the Sun, the original version of the game was released on Steam last year. The special edition for the PS4 brings some new features, such as event challenges, midnight events, and ghost cars. In the game, you're racing around a track, and your goal is to always be drifting, that is, sliding about from left to right, but in a way that pulls you forward. There's no word on a release date for this special edition of Absolute Drift Zen Edition. We just have a rough launch window of summer 2016. Well, that's it for this week's episode. For all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews, be sure to follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my own views. As we've been talking about for the last few weeks, we're gearing up for PAX East 2016. Because of this, next week's episode is going to be a bit different. We'll be on the road. While we will have some game news, next week's episode will mostly be about the stuff we're looking forward to at PAX. The week after that, we'll be doing a special about PAX East. Enjoy! Also, if you happen to see me, be sure to say hello and to request a Blackman and Robin pin. I should have some handy. Okay, awesome. So your game Windforge, so can you tell us what it's about?
Yeah, it's a building block RPG. So basically everything in the world you can create and destroy. Another thing you can do is make your own flying airships. And the construction is just like building stuff with Lego. And so we have a whole RPG based in this world.
Okay, so it sounds a little bit like Terraria then, right?
It's pretty similar, yeah. The movement and the controls when you're on foot are more like Contra. So you gotta have like that arcade action feel whenever you're playing.
Yeah.
And there's also a whole RPG storyline built on top of the world, so you can have some direction and stuff and quests to follow.
So what kind of world are we looking at here? It looks very junglish.
Yeah, so it's a sky planet. So like it's composed of like clouds and skies and floating islands and things like that. So you're gonna use your airships a lot to get around the environment. There's also 3 layers of atmosphere. So you got like a deserty, cold deserty layer, jungle layer, then poison gas. Where you have to make your ship so that poison gases get in. It's much more like challenging ship construction there.
Wow. So what games inspired this? You mentioned Contra. Are there any others?
Yeah, Terraria is one of them. Minecraft. Morrowind a little bit for that sandbox RPG approach.
Yes, but for some reason I'm reminded a little bit of Nausicaa when you mentioned jungle and poisonous.
Sorry, which one was that?
Oh, Nausicaa. It was actually a film when you mentioned jungle and poisonous, but
yeah.
That sounds very interesting. So what's the shipbuilding system then? So are there like just a few preset designs for ships?
No, it's just like Lego. So you have a bunch of little blocks you can place down, and every component of the ship is functional. So you have to put more propellers down to get fire, make sure you like keep in the air, and if they ever break, you're gonna crash land and so on. So it's there's a lot of depth to our ship construction.
Oh, that definitely sounds very neat. So what sort of enemies are we gonna run into?
So there's a range of them. There's giant flying lizards. My favorite are the sky whales. Huge sky whales. Hopefully you'll see them. And they can do a lot of damage to your ship if they ram you. They're a lot of fun.
This sounds awesome. What platforms is this coming to?
PC. And right now we're trying to get on Steam, and we're on Steam Greenlight. We're looking for upvotes. Yeah.
You've got our upvotes. Hey, can we follow you guys on Twitter?
We are on Twitter. I'll give you a magnet. It has our Twitter thing.
Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah, right there.
So you guys are at Snowden Studios. Right. So I guess I'll be playing your games next time with Snowden.
Cool, yeah, thanks man.
Yes, so around what time are you looking to launch?
We're hoping to get it out around August. We have a lot to do though.
Yeah. Excellent. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks man.
Can't wait to check out Windforge.